Welcome to Seriously Read a Book. This is part 3 of Junie B. Jones and Her Big Fat Mouth by Barbara Park. Here we go. Chapter 5, Shining. When I went back inside, Ollie was still very screaming. That's because Mother couldn't find his pacifier. Pacifiers are what babies like to suck on, except I don't know why. Because one time I sucked on Ollie's and it tasted like my red sneakers. Just then Mother runned out of Ollie's room, and her hair was very sticking out, and her clothes were all wrinkly, and she was wearing one sock. And that's all. "Where is it? Where is the pacifier? It didn't just disappear into thin air, you know," she hollered very loud. Then me and Daddy had to help Mother look for the pacifier speedy quick, because she was losing her grip, I think. I looked in the couch. That's because sometimes if you push your hand way under the cushions, you can find some good stuff under there. This time I found 3 Cheetos and a popcorn. They were very delicious. After that, I looked under Daddy's big chair, only it was too dark to see under there, and so I run to get the flashlight, because I learned about flashlights in school, remember? Flashlights are fun to shine in the dark. I shined it in the dark closet, and also down the dark basement steps. Then I remembered another dark place, and its name was Screaming Ollie's room, because his shades were pulled down for his nap, that's why. I run right there very fast. "Look," I said to Screaming Ollie, "I've got a flashlight." I shined it on his ceiling. "See? See that little round circle of shine up there?" I said. Then I shined it on his jungle wallpaper, and see the monkeys, Ollie? And the hippopotamus something? I asked him. Only Screaming Ollie just kept right on screaming, and he didn't show courtesy to me. Courtesy is the school word for listening very polite. That's how come I shined it right in his big fat crying mouth. Except for just then a problem happened, and it's called Mother sneaked up on me in her quiet sock. There is Junie B. Jones' mother sneaking up on her in her quiet sock, while Junie B. Jones is flashing the flashlight light into her screaming brother Ollie's mouth. "Junie B. Jones, what in the world do you think you're doing?" she hollered. I did a gulp. Then my heart got very pumpy, because I was in big trouble. That's why. "I'm shining." "Out!" she said. "Out right now!" And that's how come I started to leave. Except for then the flashlight shined on the floor and I saw something very wonderful down there. "Hey, look, it's the pacifier!" I shouted. "I found the pacifier. It was hiding under the rocking chair." Then I hurried to pick it up and I gave it to Mother. Her face got relief on it. "Thank goodness," she said. "Yes, thank goodness," I said back. Mother wiped the pacifier off and then she blowed on it very hard. "Yeah, only you can't blow germs off, you know," I said. "'Cause stuff that's been on the ground is very dangerous." And so then Mother gave me the pacifier and I washed it off with soap and water. And guess what? Then I put it right in Ollie's mouth and he stopped crying. Mother looked proud of me. "Where did you get so smart?" she asked. "At school, that's where," I said. Then all of a sudden my eyes got big and wide because a very great idea popped right inside of my head. "Hey! I thought of it!" I hollered. "I thought of what I can be for job day!" Then I jumped up and down, and I run down the hall. Daddy was in his chair reading the paper. I busted through it with my head. "I thought of it! I thought of what kind of job I can be when I grow up!" Daddy said, "Slow down," to me. That's because he didn't know what the heck I was talking about, of course. "Yeah, only I can't slow down," I explained, "because I'm very celebrating, and now I don't have tension in me anymore." Just then Mother came into the room. "What's all the excitement about?" she said. I clapped my hands together. "I have announcements. That's what it's all about." I said real happy. "Well, what is it?" said Mother. "Tell us." And so then I stood up straight and tall, and I told Mother and Daddy the name of the job I'm going to be when I grow up. "That's a good one, right?" I said, very excited. "It's the bestest job you ever heard of, isn't it?" Except for Mother and Daddy didn't answer me. They just kept on looking and looking at each other. Then Daddy did a funny smile, and Mother said the word, "Oh boy." Chapter 6, Tingling. I couldn't sleep for the whole weekend. That's because I had tingling excitement in me about job day. And my brain wouldn't settle down, and so on Monday I zoomed to the bus very fast. "Look, Mr. Wu," I said to my bus driver. "Look what I'm wearing today." And I opened my jacket and I showed him my job clothes. "See, it's nice pants and dangling keys and a paintbrush," I said, "except for I can't tell you what I am because it's my special secret." Then I plopped down in my seat and me and Mr. Wu drove to the next corner. That's where my bestest friend Grace got on. She was wearing Mickey Mouse ears and a dress with red and white polka dotties on it. "Grace," I said, very smiling, "you look very beautiful in that dotty thing." "I know it," she said. "That's because I changed my mind about who I'm going to be when I grow up. Now I'm going to be Minnie instead of Mickey." Then I stopped smiling and my stomach felt very sickish inside again, because that meant Minnie Mouse was a fake too. "Disneyland is a fib," I said. After that, the bus stopped again, and William got on. He was wearing a Superman outfit, except he had a W on the front of him, and not the letter S. "The W stands for William," he said to Mr. Wu. "Does that mean you can fly?" asked Mr. Wu. Then William grinned very big, and he held out his arms, and he jumped way high in the air. Except for he didn't fly. And so he just sat down. After that, other kids got on the bus too. See, it's William holding his arms out, and all the other kids on the bus, and Junie B looking at William. Everybody's in their job clothes. And Roger had on keys just like me, and also plastic handcuffs. And Charlotte was wearing a red paint apron with some watercolors in the pocket, and that mean Jim was wearing a white bathrobe. "Hey, I've got a bathrobe just like that, Jim," I said very friendly. "It's not a bathrobe, dummy," he said. "I'm a kung fu karate guy." "Jim is a kung fu karate guy," I said to Grace, "except for he just got out of the bathtub." Then me and her laughed and laughed, because that was a funny joke, of course. And job day was going to be the funnest day in the whole wide world. Chapter 7, Jobs and Jobs. When I got off the bus, I zoomed to room 9. That's because I wanted job day to start very quick. Only first we had to take attendance. And then we had to say, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands," except I don't know what that dumb story is even talking about. Then finally Mrs. clapped her loud hands together. And guess what? Job day started. That's what. "Boys and girls, you all look wonderful in your outfits," Mrs. said. "I can't wait to learn what all of you want to be when you grow up. Who would like to go first?" "I would! I would!" I yelled out. Only then my bestest friend Lucille raised her hand very polite, and she got to go first. Lucille looked the most beautifulest I've ever even seen her. She was wearing a new dress that her Nana bought for her. It was the color of pink velvet. Also, she had on shiny pink shoes and socks with bows and lace on them. Lucille's Nana is loaded, I think. Lucille went to the front of the room. She reached into a little bag and pulled out a sparkling crown with jewels on it. Ooh, look at this. That is Lucille with her sparkling crown on and all of her pretty clothes, and she looks very proud of herself. And Junie B can't believe how good she looks. Then all of room 9 said, "Ooh," except for not the boys. "When I grow up, I'm gonna marry a prince," she said, "and I'll be a princess. And my name will be Princess Lucille." Then she put the sparkling crown on her head, and she looked like a fairy tale guy. Mrs. smiled. "That's a lovely thought, Lucille," she said. "I know," said Lucille. "My Nana says if you marry a prince, you're set for life." After that, Lucille said her dress costed $85 and her shoes costed $45 and her lacy socks costed $6.50 plus tax. Then Mrs. told Lucille to sit down. Ricardo went next. He was wearing a round yellow hat. It was the kind of hat you can bang on. "This is called a hard hat," he said. "You have to wear it when you're building tall buildings, or else somebody might drop a hammer from way up high and it could hit you on the head and kill you." Mrs. smiled. "So, you're interested in construction, right, Ricardo?" she asked. But Ricardo just kept on talking about other stuff that could fall on your head and kill you. Like a paint can, and an electric drill, and a lunchbox. Then Mrs. said, "Sit down." To him, too. That's when William raised his hand, only he was being very bashful, and he wouldn't go to the front of the room. "You don't have to be nervous, William," said Mrs. "Just tell us what you want to be when you grow up." William covered his face with his hands. "Super William," he said, very quiet. Then he got out of his seat, and he jumped way up high in the air, only his cape got tangled up in his chair, and he crashed into the table. After that, Super William got very sniffling, and Mrs. said we would get back to him later. Then lots of other kids talked about their jobs, like a boy named Clifton is going to be a rich and famous astronaut, and a girl named Lily is going to be a rich and famous movie star, and also she wants to direct. And a boy named Ham is going to be a rich and famous boss of a big company, and he taught us how to say the word, "You're fired." And here's the bestest one of all, because a boy named Jamal Hall is going to be the rich and famous president of the whole United States. "Cool," said Ricardo. Then the other boys said, "Cool," too. I did a secret smile. "Yeah, only not as cool as my job," I thought just to myself. Then I raised my hand very polite, and Mrs. called my name. "Oh boy!" I shouted. "Oh boy, 'cause mine is even better than President of the United States!" I zoomed speedy quick to the front of the room. Then my excitement wouldn't stay inside of me anymore. "A janitor! I'm going to be a janitor!" I hollered out. After that, I jingled my jangly keys, and I waved my paintbrush in the air, and I clapped and clapped. Only too bad for me, 'cause nobody clapped back. And here's something even worser. Room 9 started laughing very much. And it was the mean kind. "She wants to be a janitor!" they yelled. Then they pointed at my brown pants, and they called me the name of stupid. And I didn't know what to do, 'cause I felt very crumbling inside. Oh, and here's a picture of everyone laughing at Junie B. You just see the back of her, but you see the fronts of all of the people covering their mouths and pointing and laughing at her while she's in her costume of being a janitor. And so I just kept on standing there, and my eyes got a little bit of wet in them, and my nose started running very much. That's how come I covered my face up. "They're not having courtesy for me," I said real soft. Only just then Mrs. clapped her angry hands together and she scolded room 9 a real lot. "Junie B is right," she said. "Being a janitor is a very important job. You have to be hardworking and reliable and very, very trustworthy." I peeked through my fingers at her. "Yeah, only don't forget the part where you have to save people from danger," I said. Then that Jim I hate laughed right out loud. "Janitors don't save people from danger, you goony bird," he said. I stamped my foot at him. "Yes, they do! They do too, because one time I was eating a dangerous lifesaver and janitor made me spit it out, and also he brought his flashlight to room 9 and he saved William from the dangerous dental floss." Then I held up my jingling keys. And see these things? Keys are what janitor unlocks the bathroom door with, or else we wouldn't even go to the toilet. Then I showed him my paintbrush, and janitor paints the litter cans too. I said, and painting is the funnest thing I love. Then that Jim did a mean smile. Yeah, well, too bad for you, 'cause you're a girl. And janitors have to be boys. So there. I run to his table. No, they do not, you stupid head Jim. I said, girls can be anything boys can be, right, missus? Right? Right? 'Cause I saw that on Sesame Street and also on Oprah. Mrs. did a smile. Then my bestest friend Grace started to clap. And guess what? All the other girls in room 9 clapped too. Chapter 8, Gus Valony. Today, janitor came to room 9 for show and tell. And it was the funnest day I ever saw. That's because he brought his very big toolbox with him. And we played a game called Name the Tools. And guess what? I knew the saw and the hammer and the metric socket set with adjustable ratchet. And janitor showed us how to use his stuff. And Charlotte got to shine his giant flashlight. And my bestest friend Grace got to push his big broom. And Lucky Duck Lucille got to clean the chalkboard with his squishy sponge. Except for then a little bit of trouble happened, because I wanted the mop, only that stupid head Jim wouldn't let go of it, and so I had to pinch his arm. After that, the mop got removed from us. Removed is the school word for snatched right out of our hands. After that, janitor sat in a chair, and room 9 sat all around him. And guess what? He's been janitor for 14 years. And he was born in a different country from ours. And his name is Gus Valony. Hey! I love that name of Gus Valony, I hollered out, 'cause Valony is my favorite kind of sandwich. And then I smiled very proud. And guess what else? I said to room 9, me and janitor are bestest friends. And sometimes he calls me the nickname of Sis. Then janitor winked at me. And so I winked back. Except for both my eyes kept on shutting, so I had to hold one of them open with my fingers. Here's a picture of Junie B and Gus Valony, the janitor, winking at each other. Although I guess, probably, his name is probably pronounced baloney, to rhyme with baloney. I'll say it like that going forward. Ready? Okay. I really like that Gus Valony, I whispered to my bestest friend Lucille. Only then that dumb girl named Lily heard what I said, and she started singing, Junie B's got a boyfriend, Junie B's got a boyfriend. And so that's how come I felt very embarrassed. Me and my big fat mouth, I said. Then Mrs. laughed, and janitor laughed, and everybody else laughed too. After that, janitor had to go back to work, and so Mrs. shook his hand. Then room 9 clapped and clapped for him. And janitor smiled, and his jingling keys jangled all the way out the door. And that was Junie B. Jones and Her Big Fat Mouth. What a great book. Gus Valony. Rhymes with baloney. Hope you guys had a great time. I had a great time reading to you. Have a great night or day whenever you're watching this video. And like and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.